Hey, what's up, y'all? Today we're taking a look at another McFarlane Toys figure. And rarely do I get excited over a McFarlane Toys figure these days. But this one I've really been looking forward to because it's a version of Batman that I really love from a movie that I kind of liked more than most people did. I understand that it was divisive for a lot of reasons, but I thought it was amazing, especially with regards to the Batman-centric scenes, not just limited to the warehouse scene. And of course, you can't consider yourself a true Batman fan if you can resist Batman fully decked out in his battle armor, which pays homage to Frank Miller's revolutionary take on The Dark Knight. And the movie itself did take a lot of cues from that story, so in a lot of ways this figure is really cool, both in concept and execution. As you can see, I've already removed the cable ties. This was already unboxed, but I just put him back in the box for presentation purposes because he looks good in there anyway. So unlike the usual, you get a different backdrop inside the box. This series of figures does celebrate the BvS movie. Here at the back, it's just a movie portrait of Batman in his armor plastered across the entirety of the back of the box. You know what, this is starting to look and feel nostalgic to me. I mean, the movie has been out for almost a decade at this point, so I guess that's understandable. I really like what they did here. Superman silhouette, Batman, Superman fighting, the BvS logo, and then of course, as per usual, the disc stand, and then the trading card, which I don't know how tradable it really is. You know what, let me remove my gloves. It's annoying. Let's just deal with the sweat. An extra pair of hands. I hope my fingernails are not dirty. The other one is a fist. I love the molded details right here. It's a very well sculpted fist. And this other one is an open clenchy hand. Cool, but it's not really cool in a sense that we don't get anything other than these hands and the disc stand and the trading card, which are not really much. My phone keeps warning me that my camera is gonna turn off because the phone is heating up. It sucks that they had to reserve the Kryptonite Spear to the Chase variant of this guy, and the other weapons packed in with the 2-pack version with the Nightmare Batman, which also has unique accessories that doesn't come with the solo release of the Nightmare Batman. So for the solo versions, including this armored Batman, we're stripped down to the minimum. In this case, just an extra pair of hands. The figure itself looks glorious. I love the heft of this guy. He is chunky, as he should be, and he does scale well with other McFarlane Toys figures. I mean, I have one right here. It's Catman. And, yeah, I think that's pretty good scaling. Granted, he's got this suit of armor. I do feel like they make up for the shortage in terms of accessories by giving us this hefty build. Like, he is quite substantial, and he's chock full of sculpted and molded details, and not to mention they were quite generous in the paint department here. There's a variety of silvers and grays, and the weathering effect just brings it to life. They made it to a point where the armor looks like he wear tested it by fighting different monsters prior to him challenging Superman to a fight. I do have this gold or bronze color on the belt and the pouches. Same color here on the arm and leg blades. Let me just focus that real quick. There you go. Nice. There's also a weathering effect on these parts to kind of illuminate the details and make it look more realistic and make it look like the real thing. He's got this strap right here, supposedly to for weapon storage, but we don't get any weapons, sadly, not even the grenade launcher, because that's reserved for the 2-pack, and it sucks, but I still love this figure anyway. The cape is also of high quality, I would say. It seems like heavy duty material. I don't think it's gonna fray anytime soon, even with these sweaty palms of mine. It's wired in 2 places, so you can pose it away any way you want. Yeah, it's executed pretty well. I normally prefer plastic capes unless they are done well enough, the same way they did it here. So good job, McFarlane. We've got this scuffing on his forehead, The white lenses look really cool. It's bordered by some kind of blue paint to an illumination effect, because in the movie the eyes do light up. And they were able to handle it pretty well here by bordering it with blue paint, so that's pretty clever. Crackages everywhere. This armor has taken quite a beating across the years for sure. In terms of aesthetics, I give it a 4.5 out of 5. And for accessories, I'd give it a generous 2 out of 5, because this ain't enough, but I guess it can be, depending on your use case for this figure. Oh, did I mention the back is pretty cool? I think I did. But yeah, that spinal detail right there looks solid, and the undersuit actually looks like actual fabric. I'm amazed with the texture work they've done here. Same can be said for, the rest of the parts that represent the undersuit. If you ask me, they actually captured Ben Affleck's likeness right here. I think this is one of the best head portraits they've done to this day, not just because I'm biased to this version of Batman, but it's actually done really well. Perfect execution relative to how much you're paying for it, in which case you're getting your money's worth. Let's do a quick run through of the articulation, because it's pretty much standard fare for McFarlane toys. The head is on a ball peg, I believe. Let me just pop that out real. No, you know what? Never mind. It's kind of hard to do. Okay. Can look down that much. Well, I think that's a decent enough range looking down. Looking up, a solid range, and it just revealed more sculpted details right there. Wow, that's amazing. I love it. Ample enough side-to-side movement, so with that you can pretty much do whatever you want with the head, with consideration to all the hindrances right here. The shoulders, the shoulder pads are separated from the arms themselves. They are connected to the shoulder parts of the armor. With that, unhindered arm articulation in terms of going out horizontally. I guess you can go 360. There you go. 360 rotation right there. And then we have a bicep swivel, which is hidden cleverly by the bulk of the shoulder pads and all of those sculpted details, such as the straps on both arms. So that's pretty good. However, we only have a single joint on the elbow. Can only fold up to that point, but it should suffice. On the other arm, this arm is kind of stiff though, and the joints are kind of stiff on the left arm, because I also had to break in the bicep swivel right here, but it's not a terrible thing. And we have this quasi butterfly setup right here. In this case, it's functional enough. Maybe you can't see it, but I can feel it, and I can attest that it does function really well, given the bulky nature of the individual parts of this figure. So it's quite impressive, although you can't really put his arms across, but I guess you don't really need to. Oh, the arm popped off. Okay, his arm is popped back in to ensure accuracy to the movie, because Superman is merciful enough as to not take his arm off, take Batman's arm off, is what I'm saying. Here we go. This is normally where McFarlane does fall short on the torso articulation. Let's see what his abs can do. Hey, you know what? It's not exactly the worst they've done, especially since this is a chunky figure. I think that is a decent amount of range going forward. So that's not bad at all. Going back, as per usual, this is where McFarlane shines. And can do a roundy motion just like so. Yeah, I think this is a sufficient amount of articulation in the torso region, so no problem there. His legs can go out that far, and they didn't do quite a terrible job in the diaper section, because normally there is a lot of diaper covering or hindering the thigh section, but this time around it's, they did as best as they can to make sure that his legs can spread spread out without any problems, and can kick forward much better than it normally does for a McFarlane toy figure. McFarlane toy? McFarlane toys figure. Sorry. I am trying my best to English here. Thigh rotation. We normally don't get this amount of articulation in the thighs for McFarlane toys. This one is doing a really great job where most McFarlane toys do fall short. Double jointed knees, not the worst looking thing. Let me take it back. It actually does look terrible, but I guess you can get away with it given the mechanical nature of this suit. But still, they could have done better. It's functional enough and doesn't look like the worst thing in the world. His ankle can go out, not by a lot, going backwards. Going forward, yeah, it can kick back better than it does kick backward. And of course, it's not a McFarlane toy without a toe joint positioned well enough, and there's enough retention right there to make it useful. It feels like it's not going to loosen up anytime soon. I think I've covered pretty much everything for the articulation, and I'm quite impressed. Because like I said, it's a chunky figure, and you would expect this to be a bit more hindered than most McFarlane toys, and McFarlane toys are notorious for having a stiff build. Like, they can't pose for crap, but this guy can pose quite impressively. It's a chunky figure, so you can't exactly expect this to pose well, but it does, and I'm happy to report that. So I'd give the articulation a 4 out of 5. Excellent for McFarlane Toys figure. I mean, there are areas for improvement, like the elbow didn't need to be a single joint, but I'm tired of looking at those crappy double jointed elbows anyway, because they normally don't do well in that area. So I'll take this over that, because I don't see any reason to be folding his arms all the way up to his shoulders anyway. Batman stands at about 7.6 inches tall, and in centimeters that would be, let's just say, 19 centimeters at the top of his ear thingies. And on his left would be a DC Rebirth Batman. It's also a 7-inch figure. Can't remember, is this DC Collectibles? Or DC Icons? You know what, I can't remember anymore. Apologies. Here's Catman. The crazy thing is I actually skipped the first release of the Nightfall Batman and went for this repaint, or this reuse of the body instead, because it's got a tasteful deco, in my opinion, and it's got a lot of unique parts going on, like those claws and the daggers, and just the overall paint scheme, the deco, and he's got a very nice expression on his face, so I can't say no to that. He's a giant compared to these Mafex versions of the Night Crusader Batman and the Ben Reilly Scarlet Spider. Corp Class Soundwave, Jada Toys, Metal Fig, Optimus Primal, Rise of the Beast, Rhinox from Yolo Park, and right here, the Coronation Starscream from Hasbro. Here's a Lego Mando and Grogu. I think it's a worthy pickup. If you can find him for SRP, don't hesitate, just go grab him. This figure is not going to be warming the pegs, although depending on where you're looking or where you're located, you might have different options, like you might find the 2-pack or the Platinum, the Chase variant. If you're lucky enough to be in that position, then you might want to pick up all three, or at least you can pick and choose what you really want. It's a bummer that it doesn't come with the spear and the other accessories, the other weapons that he uses in the movie, but in my estimation, the figure has enough going on. It has enough merits to be forgiven for where it lacks, especially in the accessories department. As far as I can remember, this guy looks like he came out of the movie into plastic form. Although I'm not going to keep my hopes up, because I know that McFarlane Toys is very hit or miss in their releases, and this just happens to be one of those rare cases where they knocked it out of the park. So I would consider this as a successful pickup or a successful purchase, because it's got a lot going on, and toys are expensive, including the ones that are said to be budget friendly, and McFarlane Toys happens to be one of those companies in that category with their DC Multiverse figures. Relatively affordable, but still expensive, because these are luxury items, and collectors such as myself just justify buying them as necessities because we're nerds. Anyway, stay nerdy and don't ever let anyone discourage you from collecting if it's what your heart truly wants, especially if you're buying stuff with your own money. Until the next one, peace.